Samuel Chase was the son of Reverend Thomas Chase. Samuel Chase's father was a clergyman in the Protestant Episcopal Church. He was born in Somerset County, in Maryland, on the 17th of April in 1741. In 1743, Samuel Chase moved to Baltimore, having been appointed to St. Paul's Church. During this time period, there was no school of high order, and because Reverend Thomas Chase was a fine educated scholar, he knew this responsibility fell onto him to educate his son Samuel Chase. As a result of his father's scholarly teaching, Samuel soon outshined many of his peers, and at the early age of 18, Samuel Chase was sent to Annapolis to begin his study of law. After 2 years of dedication to his preparatory course, Samuel Chase was admitted to practice in the mayor's court, and just 2 years after this, Chase was licensed for the chancery and few of the county's courts. After finding the number of practitioners in the area of Annapolis quite small, he settled here as a lawyer. He also became a member of the colonial legislature. As a member of the colonial legislature, he became well known for his independent bearing and his blunt opposition to the royal governor. Chase was seen as a passionate patriot who strongly resisted the Stamp Act of Great Britain. Samuel Chase was also active in the Sons of Liberty, which was a group of patriots who forcibly opened the public offices and even destroyed the stamps and burned the collector. Then, in 1774, the Maryland Convention sent Chase as one of 5 delegates to the First Continental Congress, which he continued a member of successive Congress until the end of 1778. As Chase was seen as the most aggressive anti-British leader in Maryland, he went on a mission sent by Congress and accompanied by Charles Carroll and Benjamin Franklin that involved going to Canada and swaying them to join the colonies. However, the men returned from Canada unsuccessful. When they returned, since Chase was a passionate anti-British leader, he took to the open road on horseback with his colleague Charles Carroll. While on the road, they made moving speeches about independence in farms and towns throughout the colony. After some time, their campaign was successful, and the Maryland delegation reversed its position on independence and began urging all to vote in favor for independence. Chase then returned to Philadelphia and remained in Congress for several years. However, he became discredited in 1778 when he made the paper for being charged with taking advantage of inside information in order to deal flour. As a result, he did not gain political importance for an entire decade. During the few years of the war against Britain, he devoted his efforts to his private law practice. However, in 1783, he was sent to England by the Maryland legislature to recover money that had been invested in the Bank of England before the war. After almost spending about a year there, he succeeded in recovering $650,000 and at the same time made the acquaintance of many famous lawyers. By 1789, as the result of business that he entered turning out badly, he was unable to pay off his debt. Meanwhile, he assumed judicial office in Baltimore, where he became Chief Judge of the General Court of Maryland. By this time, he was criticized for holding so many offices. In the 1790s, he became a pronounced Federalist, and by 1796, President Washington appointed him as Associate Justice for the Supreme Court. His colleagues did not view him very favorably during this time, and as for his career on the bench, well, it was in fact the stormiest on record. Although he had a lot of intellectual power, his bullying tactics during the sedition trials, along with his use of the bench for strong dislike against Republicans, led to his impeachment during the presidency of Jefferson. However, he was acquitted since he had not committed any high crimes within the constitutional framework. His judicial career was relatively unimportant from that point on, partly because he suffered from gout. He remained on the court until he died in Baltimore on the 19th of June in 1811 at the age of 70.